Now here is a man speaking his mind. I think you are the messenger for the evil one, the Antichrist. Well, I'm not, but he thinks I am. There's a complete and total misunderstanding about the Antichrist. The usual Christian idea of the Antichrist is that he is indeed the evil one, that he is someone who will come out into the world before the Christ comes into the world, at the end of the world. We've gone into that, haven't we? And he promises the earth, the moon, the stars to humanity, is so sweet, so convincing, so delightful, so charming, that he will take in even the elect. That's the ones who think that I am the spokesman for the Antichrist. They are the elect, the ones who really know the answers to all things. The Antichrist is not a man at all. It's an energy. It's an energy which is deliberately released by the Lord of the world. The Lord of the world is the reflection of that great heavenly man, the Logos of our planet. He manifests himself as a young man who came from the planet Venus 18.5 million years ago, when the human evolution started. He dwells, is the only word for it, he dwells in the highest spiritual center on this planet, which is called Shambhala, which is a great sphere of light, of etheric matter in the Gobi Desert. I mean, not on the ground, but in the air in the Gobi Desert. And there he is surrounded by great spiritual beings who administer this planet and the plan of evolution of the planet. About the energy we call wrongly the Antichrist. That is an energy which is released into the world by the Lord of the world at certain times. It's in Revelations of St. John. And John was talking about his own time, when the beast 666, the name of a man, the man was Nero, the Emperor Nero of Rome, who embodied that energy which we call the Antichrist. This was deliberately released to break down, it's a destructive energy which deliberately broke down the Roman dispensation to prepare the way for Christendom. It was released again in our day through Hitler, a group around him in Nazi Germany, 6 other equally or almost equally evil men, together with a group of militarists in Japan and a further group around Mussolini in Italy. These 3 powers, the Axis powers, in the war with the Allies from 1939 to 45, was a war literally between the forces of light, which is a spiritual hierarchy with Maitreya at its head, and they stood behind the Allies for the course of the war. And the Axis powers who embodied the Antichrist forces. Not only their evil, but the evil of all humanity from the very beginning. That destructive energy was released and has ended in the defeat of the Axis powers in the war from 39 to 45, and that gave Maitreya the opportunity to return to the earth. It is no accident that it was precisely June 1945 that he announced his intention to return to the world. By the defeat of the Axis powers, the forces of evil, the forces of materiality, as the masters call them, the lords of materiality, who have a role to play. Their role is the upholding of the matter aspect of the planet. And if they did that only, there would be no evil involved. They are on the involutionary arc, we are on the evolutionary arc. And unfortunately, they are not content with the involutionary arc. Their work overflows onto the evolutionary arc, so it is inimical to our spiritual progress and must be countered, which it is, by the hierarchy of masters. Humanity cannot do it for itself. It doesn't even know it's happening. And in this way, the hierarchy protect humanity from too great an overflow of evil into the planet. There's more than enough already. By the defeat of the Axis powers, who are not destroyed, but they are defeated, the hierarchy is enabled to return to the world. It's the exteriorization on the physical plane of the work of the hierarchy, which has already been going on the inner planes from time immemorial, for 18.5 million years. The return on the physical plane of his group, of himself and his group, for the first time in 98,000 years. Before that, the masters worked openly in the world. At the end of the Atlantean age, there was a war between the forces of light and the forces of darkness, which ended in a kind of stalemate. But it meant that the masters retreated into the mountains and deserts of the world, where their successors are to this day. And now they are beginning to come into the world. So the Antichrist is something very different from what people think. It is not an evil man who could be mistaken for the Christ. It is evil indeed, or rather destructive energy, which is necessary to prepare the way for the Christ. It prepares the way for the building forces, which are the Christ forces, and prepare for the new age. The aim and work of hierarchy during this age, the age of Aquarius, is to lift humanity above the level where they can be contacted and used by the forces of evil, as they're called, the lords of materiality. And this is done, this is called sealing off the forces of evil to their own domain. In the Great Invocation, some of which of you will know it, there is a line which says, "And may it seal the door where evil dwells." That door where evil dwells is the door between that where the hierarchy of masters live and that where the forces of materiality live, upholding correctly the material of the world, but if they do more than that, it becomes evil, and they work through every means that they can to manifest that evil. They will be sealed off in this coming age to their own domain, and then in the middle of the next age, the Capricornian age, there will be another great war. The forces of evil will be released again. The beast 666 will be unchained for a time and half a time. That is the age of Aquarius, and half a time, half the age of Capricorn. And they will be released then once again. There'll be another great war. It will be fought out now on mental planes. It's been fought out on the astral plane for 98,000 years. It has been fought out on the physical plane from 1914 to 1945, and then will be fought out on mental plane, and end in the complete destruction of the forces of evil on this planet. Then our planetary logos will take an initiation, which is not possible until that date. So you can see the Antichrist is something totally different from the usual fundamentalist Christian idea of him. I am not the messenger of the Antichrist. On the contrary, happy to be, proud to be the messenger of the Christ himself.